Hey everybody, it's Brinson Jones here again with another midnight run. While technically speaking, we're not recording this at midnight, it will be posted around that time period. As I said before, I'm Brinson Jones, and here with me, as always, is my partner David. How's it going, buddy?
Hello, I'm good. I've been driving my car a lot recently because I have to keep going back and forth for my eye stuff. But other than that, it's fine.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
That was actually my Friday and I guess Saturday. Yeah, driving there, getting new lenses, and then spent the day after driving back. But it was really weird because I could see things for the first time in like a year.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Being able to see is always a good thing.
Are you sure? There's some things I'd rather not see.
Well, I mean, if you saw the movie I saw yesterday,
What did you see?
I kind of don't want to. Okay, we'll get on that gravy train in a bit, but let's see. So I just wanted to bring this up. Interestingly, this is a side point because I have some stuff I actually want to talk about. But on Friday, I found myself bored because I was playing Saints Row 2. I bought it. I want to say Thursday. And I played it before, but this time I actually wanted to buy it and own it and replay it again because I was getting bored with Saints Row 4. Lo and behold, I didn't know there was actually downloadable content for that game, so now I'm going to have to go and buy that eventually. But belaboring the point. So, I was putting the game up with the rest of my PS3 games, and I was looking through my drawer, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of games here. I wonder how many there are in here. So, I decided to count them, and I counted 50. And I was a little shocked by the number because I'm like, is there really 50 PS3 games in here? So I recounted it 2 more times and I'm like, well, I'll be danged. There are 50 in here. So I was like, I wonder how many video games me and my sister own altogether. So I decided to go throughout the entirety of the house and find every video game that we owned and create this master list of games. Granted, I haven't like written down the names of the game or anything. I just have a count. And we have a bunch of duplicates of certain games, so I counted the duplicates, but the number that I got total was 350.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's disc games?
That's just games.
Okay.
That's just games in general, man.
Okay. See, the way I normally do it is I look at my Steam list, and I see that it says 180 games. I'm like, okay. And then I occasionally look over my Wii U and go like 5 games? Got it.
Yeah. The thing about me was I was just counting games. I didn't actually count the computer games for some reason. I just counted mostly just console stuff. And I didn't count like things that were downloadable content. It had to be physical media.
Right.
Cuz that's the stuff that takes up space. So I wanted to see how much space we really take up. So yeah, 350, and surprisingly, the consoles that are in the top 4, or actually the top 5, kind of shocked me a little bit because these are consoles that one we've had for an extremely long time, and a couple we haven't even had that long. Well, here's the rundown. The PlayStation 2 had the most with 85.
Right. Understandable.
Yeah. And then the second was the PS3 with 50. And then there was the PlayStation 1 with 41. My Sega Genesis with 40. The Dreamcast with 28. The N64 and the Game Boy Advance tied with 23 each. Then let me see here. The PSP with 18. The DS with 14. And from there, we have Game Boy Color and the Super Nintendo with 8. Now, the Game Boy Color count surprised me because I had the Game Boy Color for a lot longer than, not a lot longer than the GBA, but I had it for such a long time that I thought I had more games for. But in reality, I really just had just a bunch of Pokemon games and a couple of useless games here and there.
Well, Pokemon games take forever to play anyway, so it always feels like more than just one game.
Exactly, and what was even worse or just weirder was the fact that I did not own a single Mario game for the Game Boy Color or the N64. I only have
For the
one Mario
N64?
game.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have a single Mario game for the N64. I don't think.
For shame.
I think. Wait. Okay, no, I just realized. I have one. I have Mario Kart,
Good.
but that's it. My sister, if I remember clearly, I think has the first two Mario parties, and that's it. We
Well,
don't have Super Mario 64.
Mario Party 2 is fantastic, so don't feel bad.
Both those games are evil.
Dude,
I'm-
I think the new Mario Party for Wii U is supposed to come out in like March or April or something like that. Let me double check.
Dude, man, they need to like end that franchise.
Is it Mario Party 10? I want to double check this.
I think
But-
it is 10 because the last one I remember was either 9 or 8.
Yeah,
I think it was
March 20th. Yeah.
Mario Party. Oh, God.
I'm buying that for my Wii U, and then I'm going to make all my roommates play it with me.
Yeah, see, but here's the problem, though. It's not going to be as fun as Sonic Shuffle.
Oh, God.
It's not. Mario Party game is as fun as Sonic Shuffle.
That reminds me, I still need to get that damn footage. I so want that. I want it so bad, I just keep forgetting about it. I have a car now. I could technically go get it, but I haven't talked to Alex in like forever, so I feel like it'd be awkward.
To be honest, what you need is not really that. We just need to make another. We just need to have some new ones.
Didn't you smash it?
No, I didn't. No, it's still completely safe, man.
Man, you should totally come visit
Well, no, I intend to come visit on
with your Dreamcast.
I intend to come visit the weekend of the 21st.
Of February?
Yeah, next month.
Hey, as long as I'm not, getting my eyes ripped out again.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the plan, was like to get some people together and have a good old gay time, in the words of the Flintstones. Well, excuse me, not good old, grand old
Game night.
grand old game night.
Yeah.
Or no, it's actually we'll have a gay old time.
Yeah.
Back when gay meant happy.
we had a game night at James's place. What was it? Last weekend, I think on like the Sunday, since we didn't have school because of Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah,
Man.
that day.
Yeah, it was like it was actually pretty fun. Have you heard of Super Fight before?
No.
It's basically a card game in the sense that it plays, but you basically draw 3 white cards and 3 black cards, and the white cards are like a person or like an animal or some weird kind of like creature or something like that, and then the black cards are abilities. So you choose 1 white card and 1 black card, and that's your superhero. And then everybody goes around the room, introduces their hero, and then they draw 1 more black card without getting to choose what it is, and they add that superpower to their person. And then each round, one person's the judge, and they have to pick their favorite superhero and which one they think would win in the fight. So you get some crazy stuff, like one time Savannah was like a Viking, but there were 100 of them, and they were riding in a battleship. Or my personal favorite from mine, we did one where we had to make a character for someone else. So I made one for Andy that was your ex with tiny T-Rex arms. And then the extra one he drew was is killed by water. So, and then the one which I totally argued should win every single round was I was a spider, and my power was that I could shoot web.
Oh yeah, because that's extraordinary.
Yes. No. Think about it. All right.
Spider that can shoot web.
And my second ability was that I was armed with a poison-tipped lance.
That sounds like a regular spider, though.
But that's the genius of it.
It sounds like your basic household spider.
Yeah, and I think one time Joel was a what was it? He was a demon-possessed car that was really hangry and piloting a fighter jet.
That sounds like Christine mixed with not Airplane. Actually, no. Yeah, it sounds like Christine mixed with Airplane. The car that was killing people.
Yeah.
That stupid Stephen King book.
Oh, and then Desmond's fantastic. He's a Spartan. There's 10 of them, and they're wearing rocket-powered roller skates.
I could see that being interesting. I could see that ending interesting.
Yeah.
In the context of a battle.
Yeah, so it's really fun because you just kind of sit there and you obviously have to voice your opinion of why your superhero's the best, and people are like getting these really, really funny ones. I think there's another person who was like a moose, and there were 3 of them, and they were riding a battle cat. It's
almost like He-Man.
I guess, yeah. I was once a polar bear piloting a giant robot Justin Bieber. That was on a hoverboard.
That sounds oddly specific.
Yeah, well, the thing was, it's like, because like the way the black card worked, it said, you're driving a giant piloted blank, and it said draw another card. So I drew another card, and the other card was, Justin Bieber. So
This sounds like a mix of a bunch of games, because when you were first describing it, I was thinking of Munchkins, and then when you described that, it's almost like not so much like Apples to Apples, but almost like Apples to Apples.
yeah, where you have, well, I guess it's more like Cards Against Humanity in that sense, I guess.
Or then, Cards Against Humanity.
Because it's like fill in the blank stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun though. I mean, you can sit there and just play a couple rounds really, really quick, and then everybody just has to use their imagination about how this battle would go. Yeah. Like I was a kindergarten classroom that could control plants, and we were also 1,000 years old.
A kindergarten classroom that can control plants. This sounds like the happening now.
Yeah. Until someone drew the black card that says you cancel out everybody else's abilities. So, like, I lost my ability to control plants, but I was still a kindergarten class that was 1,000 years old. So, I kind of lost that round. It was tons of fun though. I mean, we played that. We did some of the Jackbox games. I don't know if you know about those, but like Fibbage and You Don't Know Jack and all that.
Yeah, I know about You Don't Know Jack.
Yeah, they released a version for the PC on Steam, and all the people need to play is just like their smartphones or their tablets, and we all just basically pull out our phones and we just play trivia games or stuff like that for about an hour. It's really fun because now I just bring my laptop with it to Sharky's, and it's like a good game time for people there.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, it seems that it goes away from the usual gameage like normally. Well, I haven't been around you guys for that long, so I don't
honestly
exactly know how the playing goes. But back when I was there, it was like we mostly just played video games.
Yeah, well, it felt like a lot last semester was the table in the back was used primarily for people who were playing League, and then there was like a huge influx of people playing like Smash, I think. I guess that was last semester was the huge influx of people playing Smash, but
I wouldn't doubt it. It just came out at that time period.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But now it feels like no, I guess it was either last semester or the spring semester last year. I felt like even then there was a huge influx of like transfers who just played Smash all the time as well.
Really? Oh, I guess you mean Brawl then.
Yeah, well, they were playing Brawl. I mean, there was the large influx of people who were bringing their 3DSs, but since there's no Wii U in there, nobody was playing, Smash for Wii U or anything like that.
Wait, I thought they were getting a Wii U.
Ian is working on it, but it's not approved yet. So, yeah, he put his proposal in, and they still have to basically budget for it. So eventually, it sounds like Sharkies will be getting one, but for now, if you want to play Smash on the TV, you're playing Brawl. And then there's still the influx of people who bring 3DSs just to play together. But it did feel like there was a point when Sharkies kind of just became everybody playing their own game and not really talking as much. And I feel like that's kind of shifted now that we're, all just sitting around chatting. People like me, Dion, Joe, and a couple other people just kind of sit there and chat while playing Hearthstone, which is really convenient since it's not demanding in focus. And I think this past Thursday was the first time I've seen Magic played in Sharkies in like the past like few months. And I took part. I've never played Magic before in the sense that they play.
Well, all I know is I used to play Magic, but that was a long, long time ago, and the rules have changed dramatically. Maybe not dramatically, but yeah.
I bought one starting deck and a couple boosters when I first said I'd try to get into it like 3 years ago, and never did anything with the deck and misplaced it, so I have no idea where it is now. All I knew is that at the time I had like a $30 card in it, just because I had managed to overhear about it on the internet. It was something called like Bonfire of the Damned, and I believe the way it worked was it was tap red and then it was XX, where X was the number you would do X damage to all creatures on your opponent's side of the field, and then the second X was damage directly to your opponent. But it had a quick play on it if you played it the turn you drew it, where you could just tap 1X and then just it would do equal damage to all his creatures on their field and the face.
This probably wouldn't sound so complicating if I were still playing it, but
well, like I would tap one red to activate it, and then say like I have another like 7 mana, and I could tap all 7, and if it was the turn that I drew the Bonfire of the Damned, I could just do 7 to all his creatures, and then 7 directly to his life.
Right.
But if I had it in my hand, I could tap all 7 and do 4 to all his creatures and 3 to his face instead of just direct 7 to both.
Oh, wow.
So it had like better value if you played it the turn you drew it.
Okay.
But it would still be pretty effective if you just played it out of hand.
All right, then.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. When I played with them, though, I don't know anything about Magic whatsoever, so I was asking a bunch of questions, and basically all they gave me Marshall's EDH deck, which is, I think it's like a 100-card deck that they play with, and there's like some commander thing that I didn't understand. But Marshall's deck is like apparently just all blue cards, and it's only counters. So basically, it's a bunch of just instant play, like make your opponent not be able to do what they're about to do. So all I was doing all game was just like they tried to do something, and I just like tap 2 mana. It's like, nope, you can't. And that was what I did for like an hour of playing that game. It was entertaining, and like that's how I would play Magic if I played it, I guess, because I don't feel the need to be highly competitive in making these decks that are extremely powerful, mostly because it probably would cost me a shit ton of money as well.
No doubt. I mean, that was kind of the way it was with, ironically, me and Pokemon cards, because when I started, because I was hanging out with Sarah Halbeck and her friends, and they were playing Pokemon cards, and I kind of got back into it, and they were explaining to me the new rules, because, I mean, I hadn't played Pokemon cards anywhere near competitively since, I want to say 1999, maybe even 2001, so I was like way out of the loop about some of the rule changes and all that good stuff. I mean, granted, I had bought Pokemon cards post 2001, but I never initially just made decks. And after a while of them teaching me and whatnot, I eventually made a pretty decent deck full of Typhlosions and Salamances. Though now that deck is illegal, so I can't use it in official tournaments. But then again, I'm not looking to try to reclaim former glory or anything like that.
Right.
Because I'm too old for that. I'll leave that for the new generation.
Yeah, and it's like me. It's like I spend so much time playing like competitive online games that me trying to get into like a card game or anything like that would probably really set me back.
Oh yeah, I mean, you kind of need just one vice.
Yeah, that's why like I look at it nowadays and I play so much Hearthstone. I play so much Dota. I'm like, well, I mean, Hearthstone's easier, I think, to get competitive with.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find Dota to be so like exhilarating to play at the same time. I think if I was to do something on campus, like unless I could find like another competent 4 people, like probably just stick with playing Hearthstone and maybe try and see if there's any like collegiate Hearthstone leagues or anything like that, which I'm sure there probably are.
Yeah. All I know is if there had been, at the time period at our school, like some sort of a competitive Street Fighter Third Strike group or anything King of Fighters related, I probably would have done that, but there was nobody on that campus that played any of those games, at least in a competitive sense.
Right, yeah.
So I never actually tried to harness my skills and actually make them a lot better and become a better player. And now I'm just the guy where if I play with you guys, I'm perceived as some sort of fighting game god. But if I play with anybody who's ever been in an Evo tournament, I'm just a scrub.
Well, I mean, that's how it is with like me and other games. Like I can play Hearthstone here and I can pretty much beat anybody here on campus, but like the one person that I ever struggle to play against is Derek, and that's also because Derek is just as competitive in Hearthstone as I am, if not more, because he's actually hit like legend rank, which is what my goal last month was, and I didn't make it. And we kind of just occasionally go head to head, and we pretty much go 50-50 in rounds. But when I play against someone like Dion or Joe or really anybody else I find who's playing it, I kind of beat them 9 times out of 10, which is kind of expected, I guess.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, though. I can't relate to you because I have yet to find anybody on that campus that can actually beat me in a fighting game.
I beat you in a game of Street Fighter, didn't I? Kappa.
Did you?
I think so.
Did
At your
you?
graduation thing? Didn't I?
Did you?
I think I did. I
no,
think I think I beat you in one round.
I'm thinking because it's like we played so many fighting games then. Because I know we played Mortal Kombat. I know we played Gundam Battle Assault 2 because everyone kept picking bloody Big Zam.
Or maybe it wasn't you, but maybe it was someone else. Like
It might have been. To be honest, like I can remember a few people. Like Thomas, he can beat me at DOA on occasion. He can beat me at Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Me and him are kind of like 50-50 on that one because we both are good at Tekken. He can't beat me at Street Fighter or King of Fighters.
I think it was actually Tekken.
It might have been Tekken.
Is Tekken the one with the raptor with the boxing gloves?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then it was probably Tekken because at least at Tekken is slightly a challenge because even Dion will. I think I beat Dion in every round we played at that thing, but he was at least decent enough that he almost beat me on a couple occasions.
I know I beat someone. I think I beat.
You might have also beaten Thomas Duru.
I might have. I don't know. I can't remember. All I remember was that I don't play fighting games, but I can figure out a character's combos decently well, and then I can kind of just use like basic attack patterns. But that's just because I don't know. I have a background in like Twitch games like that sometimes.
Well, I mean, I grew up with fighting games, and when I was counting the games in the house, predominantly a majority of them were pretty much fighting games. Some, those ones based off animes, because like we have all 4 of the Naruto Ultimate Ninjas, even though the one me and my sister played the most was Ultimate Ninja 3, and she doesn't even like playing that one because in that one you can transform into a stronger mode. So say you're playing as Naruto, you can turn into One-Tail Fox Naruto, get an attack boost and a speed boost, and pretty much decimate anyone. But we played. There was that. There was Zatch Bell Momoto battles, which was such a great game because all I do is play as Ponygon, and Ponygon at the time period didn't have a trainer, so all he can do is melee attacks. But yeah, fighting games is kind of just in my blood. So I play those all the time. It can be somewhat cumbersome. Like I even remember at one of the anime club meetings, we did this thing where we had like I think it was like a 3-part. It was a 3-part meeting that was all leading up to our greatest board of trivia at the time period that we ever created. And what happened was we played one game. I forget the game. To decide which fighting game would be used to figure out the 4 team leaders of Jeopardy, and they ended up picking Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And they played that. There was one guy that got really upset because he wasn't as good as some other guy, and I told him that it was only skill was only based off if you had played it or not. It was kind of like everybody had a chance to either be good or bad.
I think I've heard this story before.
Yeah, because it's the guy that was complaining about we didn't pick Smash or something like that, and the reason I didn't, and the thing was we actually put Smash Brothers in the because it was a hat. It was a hat.
I'm gonna type his name to you. I think I know who this was.
To be honest,
was it this guy?
Let me see right quick. Because it probably was. It might have been. Unless he's, like, relatively new.
No, this guy...
No, it's not him.
Oh,
it's
okay.
not him. This
okay.
was before. It was somebody else.
It was before that? Okay.
Yeah, it was before that.
But, I thought it was him.
No, it wasn't. But he got really ticked because he lost, like, really bad. Because he lost to Don, who was the second best player at that game. Only second to me. Because me and Don went around, and he played, I think, as Majin Buu. Pure evil Boo, so Kid Boo, and I played as Chaozu and I killed him. That's how bad it was. I was Chaozu and I won.
Nice.
It would have only been worse if I had been Master Roshi, because Krillin is actually pretty decent in that game. But yeah. But fighting games are just kind of what I do. That's me. In a nutshell. So.
It's like me with strategy games, really, because I was bred on strategy games growing up, mostly because when I first was allowed to play games on my computer, The first games I had were basically almost all of Command and Conquer. So like Red Alert 1, Red Alert 2, Tiberium Sun, all that stuff. I played Age of Empires 2. I played the original Starcraft. I played Warcraft 3. Basically Star Wars Galactic Conquest.
Galactic Conquest?
Isn't that the?
Or are you talking about Battlegrounds?
No, I'm talking about the RTS version they had for the PC.
Yeah, is it the one that's almost like StarCraft? Or is it pretty much StarCraft?
Is it Galactic Battlegrounds?
Yeah, it's Galactic Battlegrounds because that's the one. That's the one that I still play to this day. Because I'm insanely good at that one.
Yeah, that, and I also had Empire at War, which was more.
That's the one that I wanted.
That's the one that's kind of like.
Isn't that full 3D, technically speaking?
It's. I guess, yeah. The way I best describe Empire at War is that it's a mixture of because you start out like in space, and you basically have these planets, and each planet has production. So in that sense, it's kind of like a Total War game.
Okay.
But then when you go into combat, it's more in depth than your normal Total War combat system. Because if you ever played Shogun Total War, you pretty much have your armies and you tell them to march forward, and they'll start marching across the map. But then when you have in Empire at War, you could give more precise movements to them, like move over here and then like do this kind of formation, and then you could basically just tap the cinematic button and the entire game would go into this giant cinematic mode where you didn't really control, but you could just watch like this 3D animated Star Wars fight, which is really, really cool.
That's the one that I wanted, but I could never get, mostly just because I couldn't afford it. So
yeah, they also had a really cool mode in that game that was different than the Planetary Conquest one, where it basically just became an RTS where you had a base and you could train units, and then the combat system worked in that fashion, which was probably what I ended up playing more than the Galactic Conquest one, or the Galaxy Conquest system, mostly just because I thought it was a lot of fun. But that's because it was real time, and that's what I love to play.
Right. Well, that's good.
And that's why I'm probably huge on like StarCraft 2 when that came out. I played that endlessly, probably like a good 3,000 hours, most likely. And then now Dota, I've hit over 2,000 hours in that. I played a crap ton of the Age of Empires for the DS actually, which I thought was really, really well done. It was turn-based, but it was still really, really good as a game. And now I guess my change has gone to Hearthstone because it's still like extremely strategic, but it doesn't require like the huge amount of dedication of time that it used to for me to play a game of StarCraft or play a game of Dota. Mm-hmm. And it's something simple that I can do in the meantime while on the weekends I binge Dota mostly.
Right.
Which is the plan after this.
Well, to be honest, if I didn't have to go to work tomorrow morning at like 2, I'd probably be playing something, but no.
I do have school at some point tomorrow. I should probably make sure I get a good night's sleep, but considering I woke up at like 2 in the afternoon, that's probably not happening.
Yeah, see, I woke up at 7:30 this morning, actually, on my own, without the assistance of an alarm.
Whoa, it's like you're an adult or something. I went to bed at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah, see, that was funny, because my dad was like, you can't wake yourself up, and I'm like, no, I can, when the hours of waking up seem to be right. Yeah. But when it's like way too early, no.
I meant to go to bed at a good time last night, mostly because I had spent all of yesterday driving back from Apex down here. Mm-hmm. And I basically got back here watched a movie with my girlfriend, and then and I got back to my apartment, and Ian is in the living room with a friend, and they're watching Sword Art Online. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll join you for a bit. Then I just ended up watching basically the entire first half of Sword Art Online for a good, 6 hours.
Hey, I forgot that they did come up with a part 2, technically speaking, right?
Yeah, I just informed Ian of that because he only just started binge watching SAO. Mm-hmm. So I think he and I are going to watch SAO 2 together. Mostly because I haven't seen it either. and I kind of do when I actually watch it. Considering I did enjoy the original Sword Art Online, even though a lot of people give it crap. I think so many people gave it crap that I went in with extremely low expectations and was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, to be honest, when I first saw it, I was like, this kind of reminds me of a bunch of things I've seen before.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen those, so I don't get that vibe.
You never seen Dot Hack?
I actually haven't, no.
Oh, okay.
Granted, I'm still trying to finish Yu-Gi-Oh! At the same time. I'm 190 episodes into it, alright? Only 30 more to go.
Jeez, man. You should have just watched that when it was on TV.
I did. I wanted to rewatch it.
That's just ridiculous.
It was on Netflix, and they put up the first 40 or 50 episodes on Netflix, and then Ian and I were like, "Oh my god, nostalgia!" And then both he and I went and found them online, and then we each started watching them.
That for me is like trying to rewatch all of Pokemon from Indigo, from the Kanto region to the Johto, because once Johto ends, then I'm done.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like that's more than 200 episodes, isn't it?
Man, I don't even know, because you got to take into account the because you have the Indigo League, season, then you got the Orange Islands, then you got Johto, then you got Johto Adventures, then you got the Johto League, and then you got Master Quest. And Master Quest, I at least know, was like 50-some episodes long, and that was after the Johto League season. I would say it's almost as long as Dragon Ball Z minus like the episode cuts. So about 200 some episode, 200
Okay.
200 close to maybe even 300 episodes long.
Okay. See, like that to me like is something, if Pokemon's dialogue wasn't atrocious, might actually watch it. And I know you're probably thinking like Yu-Gi-Oh probably has shitty stuff. Yu-Gi-Oh does have the occasional blur, but if you go back and like try and watch the Pokemon episodes that they uploaded to Netflix and just watch it for 10 minutes, it's really painful.
Well, see, that's why. Well, the thing about it is, I would never watch. I don't know. At least unless I really wanted to watch them all, I would never watch all the episodes of Pokemon. There's only like a select few that I would actually, want to watch. And to be honest, the way they upload stuff now, I don't know. The quality just it's not so much that it looks terrible, it's just if I watch it on the VHS tape that I have, I think it probably still look better on that than it would online. I don't know. That might just be me.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried using my VHSs in a while, mostly because I don't have a player here at school. But I do want to one of my other goals after finishing Yu-Gi-Oh is also to rewatch Digimon.
You know what? I could actually help you with that because I have the first season.
Well, I know the first season's on Netflix.
Okay.
And I have Tamers downloaded, mostly because I really, really like Tamers.
Well, Tamers was the best season.
I don't notice that I did not include Adventure 02.
Well, because Adventure 02 it wasn't so much lame. It was just I did not like any of the new Digidestin because I did not like Davis at all. I did not like Ken. I did not like Yoli. Yoli was the bane of my existence.
I think that I like TK. I still think he was fine. I liked was Ken the dude with the worm?
Ken was the emperor with Wormmon. Yeah, with Wormmon.
He was decent. I liked him better than the little kid with like the bowl cut.
The little kid. Oh, you mean shoot. You mean he had the armadillo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was no.
Someone notice the only redeeming characters are TK and Kari, and then all the original Digidestin.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like everybody from 01 were fantastic, but everyone from 02 were just abysmal.
There's still like my favorite line in that entire show, though, and it's the only line that I remember from the entire thing. Was they're all sitting? It's like close to Christmas time, and it's like near the end of the show. But all of them are just hanging out in one room, and they're supposed to be getting ready for some kind of like Digidestin or like war on like Digimon or something like that. And but they're just having like a Christmas party beforehand, and then they're all just sitting there. It's like, what should we play next? And then like the mother opens the door, and you just hear Davis go, "How about strip po?" And then the mother just like starts talking. I'm like, wow, that was a good joke. That's like my favorite joke from that entire show.
Wait, was that the one? Was that when they were about to go fight Malo Myotismon?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I remember that because that dealt with the weird guy, Dr. Ichigaki, something like that.
something. I can't remember. The last time I rewatched Digimon was like in like 7th grade.
Yeah, see,
But I like from 7th grade till now, I still remember the strip poker joke.
see, I don't remember the strip poker joke. I barely remember a lot of things actually. Like I have all of season 1, and I meant to get Tamers, but because for some strange reason stores decided to stop selling anime in any kind of quantity. I wasn't able to get Tamers before they kind of stopped selling them. Like if you go to places like Best Buy and whatnot, they don't sell anime like they used to, which kills me just slightly.
Yeah, that's why I just buy online.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But can we talk about bullshit though? It's like not even really related to any of this, but like with me watching Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Right.
Like, you know, like when you're running a show like that, like 10 episodes in, they changed Tristan's voice, and that's understandable. I mean, they're starting out production in English, and the voice actor changed. It didn't bug me that much, and I personally like Tristan's second voice more than his first voice.
I don't even remember the change in voices, to be honest.
He goes from like having this like, "Hey, I'm Tristan," to having like, "Hey guys, I'm Tristan."
I really don't remember that.
He has a more well, it's because it's only 10 episodes that you have the original voice actor,
Right.
and then the second half, and then the rest of it's like the deeper. I'm Tristan Taylor. I'm gonna help you win this duel, Yugi. Not really, because I don't play duel monsters. But then, I noticed it very briefly, and it took me a second to kind of question it. But like 140 episodes into it, they changed the voice actress for My Valentine.
I actually do remember the change of my.
And I think one of the reasons they did that was, I don't know if like the voice actress just didn't want to do it anymore, but also Mai's character really changed in that entire arc. So maybe it was something to do with that. I'm not entirely sure. But the one that really infuriated me was like 180 episodes into frickin' Yu-Gi-Oh! The voice actor, or I guess the voice actress for Mokuba changed.
Really?
And like it's blatantly obvious, and it pains me every time Mokuba speaks now. It's really upsetting. Like he went from being like Seto to like that to like having like this more raspy voice to his like Seto. I'm like, God damn it, Mokuba.
We'll see. Also, there's at least a problem with me when it comes to that show, because if I were to rewatch episodes, the unfortunate thing is when I would watch the original dub, I'd be like, these voices don't sound right, and then I'd be thinking to myself, oh wait, I'm thinking of the little Karibo voices.
Hey, he does some of them pretty accurately.
No, he does. I think he gets Yu-Gi-Oh's voice, the Pharaoh's voice very, very well.
He has a very good Dan Green impression.
Yeah, he does. It's actually kind of scary, to be honest. But I vaguely remember the changes with them. I can remember if we're talking about like, because didn't they change? They didn't change Joey's voice, did they? Because I feel like they might have.
Let me double check, but I'm like 90% sure Joey's been pretty stagnant throughout the entire show.
Because I mean, it was either Joey or some other male character. Because I know Pegasus has never really changed.
I don't think that like Tristan's voice changed, but according to this, no, the English voice actor for the entire time was Wayne Grayson.
Interesting.
I know Yugi didn't change. Seto Kaiba didn't change. I mean, his is pretty stagnant.
Seto's always stayed the same.
Can we talk about how much actually like I appreciate him as a character throughout this entire thing, though?
Seto Kaiba?
Yeah.
Okay then.
Because he just doesn't give two shits about
doesn't.
anything.
Like his attitude though was the thing that turned me off him so quickly.
Really? Because like there's a couple times like, God damn it, Kaiba, just deal with it. But basically, you eventually come to learn that he just really doesn't give a shit, and he just wants to get through everything. Like the entire arc that I just finished, the Ori Calcos arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like even at the end of it, he's like, I don't give a damn about your holograms and all this like legendary Atlantis bullshit. Let's just fucking play a card game.
God.
Like he's like I can give two shits about anything you're talking about, and I'm just gonna kick your ass and move on with it.
Yeah, that sounds like Seto Kaiba. This sounds like him in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So
I like his character. Like, when he's not being a pretentious asshole, which is always.
Well, I mean, that is Kaiba, but
it grows on you the more you watch it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you look at it like that. Uh-oh.
I'm also very, very excited for that new Yu-Gi-Oh movie they're making.
Which new one?
there's a new Yu-Gi-Oh thing coming out this year. Scheduled for 2016.
Because the last thing that I remember was the one that dealt with all
The
three
time
gens.
travel?
Yeah, the time travel one.
Nah,
Jaden and I forget the guy from 5 Days.
Yeah. You say.
You say, there we go. Because I remember his name made me laugh.
Yeah.
You say.
Shonen Jump is announcing on Monday that the upcoming new Yu-Gi-Oh film will premiere in 2016, 20 years after the original Yu-Gi-Oh began.
Oh God.
Film will focus on the first series protagonist Yugi Moto and his rival Seto Kaiba.
The way you when you read that, I just automatically felt really old.
Why? Because it's 20 years after
Yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh came out.
I mean, granted, Yu-Gi-Oh was not out in America 20 years ago, but still, man.
To make it feel weirder, that would have meant that I was 1 year old when Yu-Gi-Oh first went into production.
Man,
or started airing.
Because I mean, let's see, the first Pokemon first came out like in 1995 or 96. Yeah. Oh man. Jeez. I really...
I was also 1 when Pokemon started, so
yeah, I was like
I am
5-ish.
I'm a babby.
Yes, you were the baby. Jeez,
Yeah.
man. Well, okay. Well, here's something that I'd like to discuss because you went on a date, and
I did.
And I went on several dates. So
Several.
yeah, like 3,
With the same person or multiple people?
multiple people
Okay.
over the course of a week.
Okay.
So what I think is really funny, at least from my perspective, is the fact that that I went on several, but you went on the one, and it sounds like from from the little context clues I've heard, it went fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was pretty, straightforward. Like, there was this person I was interested in before like winter break started, and like it really sucked because I didn't really realize it until like maybe 2 weeks before winter break was supposed to start. And then eventually I was like, oh crap, I'm actually extremely interested in this person, and now it feels extremely awkward because the last thing I want to do is ask them out and then go away for an entire month,
Right.
So I said, I'm gonna give it winter break, and I'm gonna see how I feel, like, about that. And basically I just texted them a bunch and chatted with them like that, and I was still extremely interested, so I was like, well, that kind of solidifies it, so I knew which day I was driving back, and I texted Kyle, and I was like, Kyle, invite Mallory to go see a movie with you, because I'm going to invite, Devin to go see a movie with me. And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, and he totally got the idea from it, right? Like, he knew exactly what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love Kyle, because Kyle is, my best wingman in the world, and, always there to help me out in a pinch. So, ended up going to the movie with both of them, with I guess the 4 of us, because it was Kyle and Mallory and me and Devin. Saw Into the Woods.
Good choice. Good choice. Well, I mean, the stage play from '87 was phenomenal. I don't know if the movie itself is good.
I personally enjoyed it. The only, and you've seen the Broadway version, right?
Dude, I love the Broadway version.
Yeah. The only major difference really that kind of maybe a little bit disappointed, but understandable since it's a film version, was that the narrator was not a separate character.
Yeah, I heard that, because I think, from what I heard, the baker is narrating the story.
The baker is narrating the story, yeah. And I was like, I didn't pick up on it at first. I kept on waiting for them to introduce the person as the narrator, and like the third time I heard, I'm like, oh, it's the baker playing it. Okay, so.
Well, I mean, in the context of film, that wouldn't have worked. It would have been essentially breaking the fourth wall. And
yeah.
From what I also heard, I heard a lot of the deaths have been changed and have been turned less gruesome, even though they weren't as gruesome as they were in the stage play.
Well, didn't the baker's wife and we can talk about like spoilers for this, right?
Go right ahead. I mean, the play has been out since 1987.
Yeah,
so...
like the baker's wife, she fell off a cliff, right? That was how it was in the original play.
No, she got.
She did get crushed.
Okay, here's the funny thing, because I actually just watched the stage play, because They re-released the stage play when the movie came out in like limited quantities apparently, and I got the last copy in the entire county.
Oh, nice.
Apparently. So I was watching it today, and if I remember clearly, the baker either gets crushed,
Baker's wife.
Yeah, the baker's wife either gets crushed or and I think she gets crushed, or she what ends up happening is in the play, like the ground starts to shake and shatter and whatnot, and you hear the giant's footsteps, and she kind of screams and she rolls off the set. But from what I heard in the movie, she's running away from the giant and she falls off a ledge.
No, she like in the movie, it's right after the scene where the prince like seduces her, right?
Right.
And the footsteps start, and she kind of like scoots backward in like fear, and then she's like hovering over a rock, and then she just like slips off the back of it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because like the one thing, because when they were originally promoting the production of the film, they were saying that Act 2 of the play was going to be vastly. They were going to make the Act 2 portion of the movie vastly different than the actual play, and that bugged me because while Act 1 has a lot of the major themes and morals of the play, Act 2 is kind of where that kind of stuff comes into play even more, and it's definitely more prominent and more important. And it's that kind of stuff that bugged me because a lot of the really good drama was in Act 2. And
I feel like you'd have to go back and I think I'd have to go back and rewatch the play version, but I personally really did enjoy the movie version.
well, I mean, I'm gonna probably gonna go see that this Tuesday on my next date.
Hey,
'Cause,
yeah, but no, well, to finish out how the dating thing went really well. I ended up just chatting with her for like the next week, and then I invited her to go see another movie, mostly because you know Paddington, right?
Dude, man, I love Paddington Bear.
Dude, when I saw that trailer for that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't seen that until I went to go see Into the Woods, and I didn't even know that movie was even a thing.
Oh, wow.
I somehow, it completely missed my radar somehow. But basically I found out about it a week before it was supposed to come out. I was like, oh my god, there's a Paddington Bear movie? Fuck yeah. So, I invited her to go see that, and she had read like one or two of the books basically. And I was like, well, time to go see the movie. Really good movie in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. And basically after that, we went back to my place, and then, chatted for a long time, and then basically at that point it was kind of like, okay, cool, we're gonna go out. Yes, all right, awesome, sweet.
Yay!
So that's been what, like a week? Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah,
That's great. I mean, I'm happy for you, but
yeah. No, it works out. It works out nicely for me. I'm really happy.
that's good. And I mean, you deserve to be happy, and everybody deserves to be happy and find somebody. And as long as you found somebody, that's great. That's great to hear. I can't really say the same thing for me right now, though. But because let's see, the first date was with a friend that I had known for a while, and she's one of the few people that I talk to while I'm here because the majority of my friends are either back in Wilmington. Because you guys wouldn't just come back up here to carry with me. You guys just had to stay and go to school.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's whatever. But we hung out. We went for a walk in the park and just talked and, did the chillax and whatnot. And then we went and got ice cream. So that was nice. No tomfoolery, no craziness, but it was just a meet and greet kind of deal. Some people wouldn't call that a date, but in the realm where I live in, where money is kind of a necessity. You can't really spend a lot of dough doing a lot of fancy stuff. But then on my next date, I took a girl to dinner. We went to a place, Tasu's, right? In Crossroads.
Tasu. I don't think I've ever been there. No.
Well, it's this really nice Asian restaurant. We went there and had lunch, and then we went to the park, and she really wants to get more active and whatnot. So the original plan was to play not so much baseball, but I was gonna throw baseballs at her, and she was gonna have to hit them on the bat. But it was too cold to use the bats that we have, because the bats that we have at the house, they're the aluminum bats, and apparently if it's below 60 degrees and you're using those things, they have a potential chance of shattering. So we couldn't use those. So instead we played basketball, and then we played some cards, and it got dark enough that everybody was gone, so then we got to use the swings. So we were on the swings, and I was doing stupid stuff by standing on the swing and, doing what my friend used to like to call a classic rebellious teen move number one. So I was standing on the swing while she was sitting there, and we were just chit chatting. And
Yeah.
then this past Saturday, there was a girl that worked with me at Sears when it was still open. Now it's closed. On the last day we were working, cleaning up the store and whatnot, she asked me on a date, and I was like, "Aren't I supposed to be the one to ask you on a date?" But I agree.
I've had people ask me out before.
I have
but
never. That was a first.
Normally, when they ask me out, it doesn't seem to go as well, though. I don't know why.
Yeah, see, that's kind of how it went. I mean, she was interesting, but I wasn't like interested in her like that. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. I mean, it could be fun. So we go out and we go to a movie, and I let her pick the movie. She picked American Sniper.
Good date movie.
No, it was a fantastic movie, but it was not a good date movie.
No, what are you talking about? Fantastic date movie.
No, it was a horrible date movie. It was terrible. Listen, by the time we got to the part where there was a character drilling a hole into a child's head with a drill, I was like, yeah, this is not a good date movie. I should have just seen this by myself. But it was a
No, great date movie.
it was a good movie, but it was just really intense. Like, then again, I expected it to be as intense as it was, but I wasn't expecting some of the stuff that happened in it to happen. Like, I was sincerely not expecting to see a child get a drill to the head. I was expecting to see potentially, people getting sniped from far off distances. The one snipe kill I wasn't expecting was the one where he killed a kid and his mother because they were trying to throw a grenade or some sort of it was either a grenade or a rocket at this convoy of Marines. I was not expecting that. And it didn't so much shock me as much as it startled me when it happened. Then I was like, okay, this is technically to be expected with a movie of this caliber and this kind of a story. But
Caliber.
yeah, like a gun. But but all in all, it was definitely good. I think if anything, Bradley Cooper did a great job, and I've always liked him as an actor, but I would say this is probably one of his stronger movies. Is definitely something that Clint Eastwood directed. I can tell because Clint Eastwood, he has this specific look, style, and feel with him, and this fits Clint Eastwood to a T. Now, the one problem that I have with the movie is not so much the film itself, is just kind of the response it's getting. Because while people are praising it, people are very up in arms of its kind of themes and morals. Because a lot of people are saying it's very pro-Republican. A lot of people are saying it's anti-Muslim. It's kind of all over the board. And I don't really necessarily see it like that. I kind of see it as a not a full-on biographical picture, because when I think biographical picture, I think it literally goes through every part of his life. It doesn't kind of like, jump all over the place, because, I mean, you see him as a kid, and then it jumps to him as an adult, and then it jumps to him joining the Marines, or not the Marines, the SEALs, and then it jumps to him meeting his wife and all that kind of stuff. I expected to see a little bit more of his teenage life and all that kind of stuff, even though that might have not necessarily been important to the actual narrative. But I saw it kind of this story of a man's not so much downward spiral, but his being thrust into a situation that he couldn't handle with good intentions, but kind of losing sight of reality. Because, I mean, the one thing I really did think the movie did great was kind of brought up the attention to PTSD. Because it is very much a real thing, and the way they treated it in the film was, in my opinion, very good. Granted, I kind of wanted to see them, deal with it a little bit more, but it was well crafted and well done, and I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I can understand what some people might have gripes with it and all that kind of stuff, politically speaking, but I don't really see it as a politically charged film. Then again, I'm the kind of person that goes into a film or a movie, and I just judge it as that, and then I'll look at all the what is it potentially saying and whatnot till afterwards or after a second rewatch.
Yeah.
But I think most people kind of might be getting in the pro-Republican thing because it is a Clint Eastwood film, and Clint Eastwood is very much a Republican. Very much a Republican.
Whoa, a Republican's gonna make a movie that's pro-Republican?
Well,
What a shock.
of course they would, but then again, I think Clint Eastwood, at least with him, was going to make a movie about an American that he respects, and you can kind of tell that he respects the man and cares about the man's life and legacy. So, and it's shown in the film. But
Yeah, I just, I'm kind of on you in that boat. I watch a film to enjoy a story, not debate what the external meanings of the film and how they should affect my life, more or less. Like, occasionally, I'll watch a film and I'll get that reaction from it. I'll have, like, some kind of, premonition or some kind of, like, wow, that was actually really, really intense, and I can take from that something really good. But a lot of the times when I watch a film, I want to watch a film to watch a film.
yeah, I mean, film, for the most part, is kind of escapist anyway.
Yeah, like when I went to go see, like, you go to watch The Hobbit, you go to watch The Hobbit to watch The Hobbit.
Yeah.
You know? I went to go watch Paddington. I went to go watch Paddington because I grew up reading Paddington Bear, and I love that story.
Exactly. Granted, I never grew up with an American Sniper, but,
Well, I mean, that one's just kind of like, oh, I want to see an action story and about, a job in the military that, is kind of not talked about as much.
Yeah, because what is it I was telling someone? I was interested in American Sniper even before she suggested that to be a date movie, because I was like, the premise alone is what interested me. It was a story about the world's deadliest sniper, and I'm like, that's interesting. Because it's something that I don't know about, it's something that I'd like to learn about some more, or, see in an entertainment kind of quality. Granted, my feelings on that being counted as entertainment is kind of like my opinions on Law and Order SVU nowadays is entertainment, where I'm like, why do I find entertainment in this? This is very sick and depraved. But, well, the subject is sick and depraved. But, that's just how that is. And then I told them that I wasn't really interested in a movie like Selma, because with Selma, I know the history, I know the background, I've seen pictures and some footage of what happened, and I don't really want to see a dramatized version of that, mostly just because it's not something I really want to see. Granted, it's probably fantastic, and based off what a lot of people from my church have said, it is fantastic, but it's just not my bag.
Right.
But as soon as we left that movie, though, she was not so much like shaken, but she wasn't like feeling comfortable for like a good couple of minutes. I'm like, did that movie really mess you up? And she's like, it kind of startled me. And I'm like, well, you know how to pick a date movie.
Yeah.
And it was even weirder because a lot of people in there, they stayed for the entirety of the end credits and whatnot. And it was very silent. It was very, very quiet. Like, very quiet at the very end of the movie. And as the lights kind of went up, there was a round of applause. And I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't heard a round of applause since Avengers. Actually, no, I haven't heard a round of applause since Iron Man 3. And that's when I saw it in Wilmington. And you can expect why there was a round of applause for that movie. Even though it didn't deserve it. But that's another discussion.
No, it's true. I saw that movie once in theaters and never saw it again.
Exactly. Because it was that bad.
But
no,
I mean, films that I've seen in theaters recently. I think Big Hero 6 got a round of applause.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, Big Hero 6 was a good film.
I saw him
in my opinion. I thought it was really good. But like the last couple films that I've really gone to go see in theaters, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in its tail end of the theater run, so that didn't get an applause.
Same here. We were the only, me and my friend were the only two people in the theater when we went to see Guardians.
Oh, I went there with Kyle and Dion, and we hadn't seen it yet, so really it was us and probably like a good other like 15 people maybe. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like movies that I've gone to go see at launch or at release have been things that you wouldn't really expect people to clap at, like, the last few Hobbit films. Paddington, wouldn't really expect a round of applause from that. It's a kid's movie.
I would have expected a round of applause at the end of Into the Woods, just for the sheer fact that it was a play production at one point, and the one thing you're supposed to do at the end of a play production is to applause.
I think there might have been, but I'm not... No, I don't think there was. I think we all just kind of sat there for a minute, and we, like, the credits started, and I think we just started talking about it to each other. Because Mallory and I had already seen it, and I think Kyle and Devin had not seen it before.
Well, here's the thing, and the other thing about an American Sniper, which was interesting, was kind of some of the talk afterwards, because I was listening to some people and talking about it, and one guy said, I felt like it was my patriotic, and he was talking to his friend, and he was like, I felt like it was my patriotic duty to see this movie, and I'm like, if people are going to see this movie because they think it's their patriotic duty, that's all on them, but I find that interesting. To me, at least,
Yeah.
because if that's the case, then people need to go see Selma because it's their duty to remember history. But it's
Like, I don't ever feel like there's a film that I have to see as, like, part of, a duty to, like, something, like, no, I don't feel that kind of connection with anything, really.
oh really? Because I feel that way with most superhero movies. Because I'm like, I used to read comic books and I used to read this character, so I feel like it's my job to go see this movie. When Black Panther comes out, I'm gonna be like, I used to read Black Panther comics, so now I have to go see this movie.
Well, see, that's the thing. I didn't grow up reading comic books, and I don't really follow comic books hugely. I haven't seen Winter Soldier yet.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Just stop talking and go find that movie now. You're wasting you're wasting your time with me right now. Go watch Winter Soldier.
I haven't seen the second Thor movie.
Okay, you're fine.
either.
Don't worry about that one.
But I mean, I've seen the Iron Man films. I've seen the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And see, and that's kind of how I feel about a lot of things. Like Paddington, I wanted to go see Paddington because I knew it would give me a feeling of like childhood giddiness.
Right.
Because I mean, Paddington for me reminds me a lot of when my grandparents from the UK used to come over and visit more, and my grandmother or my nan used to read Paddington books, and I had a couple Paddington stuffed animals growing up because it was a popular children's thing over in England, and my grandparents were big about the culture stuff. I don't feel a huge connection to American war films, mostly because I'm a dual citizen to the UK, and I don't really pay too much attention to both.
Wait, you're a dual citizen?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me this.
Yeah, I'm dual to the UK, so.
Man, you not telling folks stuff, man. That's interesting. That's interesting information. Because I'm not a dual citizen. I wish I was. I'd be actually a triple citizen. What is it? I'd be a triple citizen because I'd be a citizen here, I'd be a citizen in Japan, and I would be a citizen in probably Canada.
Well, the reason I'm able to do it is because my dad doesn't have his U.S. citizenship. He still uses his green card.
Oh, really?
My mom has her citizenship, but my dad never denounced his English, because the way that you have to declare American citizenship is that you have to declare allegiance to America and undeclare to whatever country you're originally for. And that's the way America makes you apply. They make you denounce your other citizenship.
Yeah, that seems kind of bad.
So my dad refuses to denounce his English citizenship, so he lives in America on a visa and a green card. So I'm totally all for that, because what that means for me and my brothers and sisters is that all of us get our UK citizenship for free, basically.
Well, that's good.
And I didn't have to apply for it or anything like that. The only thing I had to apply for was a passport, I learned. And it was an interesting note that we learned when we were applying, was that 95% of the rejections that happen when people apply for a UK passport when their parents, or for a UK citizenship when their parents are citizens and the children were born in the US, is because they already have the citizenship. And you can end up spending $2,000 applying for UK citizenship, but you technically already have it, but you just don't know that because you don't have any documentation of it. If you were born to parents, first generation parents, who have citizenship to the foreign country, so since my dad still has a citizenship, you're instantly granted citizenship to the UK. The only thing you have to do is just apply for your passport.
Oh, okay.
Which is all I had to do. Basically, we just sent consulate over there, a copy of all our birth information and a copy of my dad's citizenship information, and then they just sent us a passport. So now I've got 2 passports, one for the UK and one for the US.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's super convenient for me because now I can travel to anywhere in Europe and work without having to go through the process of getting a workman's visa.
Yeah.
Well,
that's actually pretty nice.
That's actually extremely convenient.
Well, that's always good. I mean,
the only downfall about it now is that if I want my kids to be able to have the same privilege because I'm a dual citizen, I would have to either marry someone from the UK, or I'd have to move to the UK and have kids over there.
Right.
Both of which are extremely complicated, in my opinion. And that also means that
Maybe.
unless I were to marry someone who is a UK citizen, I'd have to. Then my kids wouldn't have English or wouldn't have American citizenship.
Well, I can at least tell you this: the having the kids in the UK thing. That's not a hard thing to.
Well, it's not hard to do, no.
No.
But it's just like I'd have to relocate to the UK with my wife, who I assume, considering the fact that I live in the US, would probably be, a United States citizen.
Probably.
But no, wait, no, I actually think but we'd have to become residents there is the thing. So she'd have to become a resident of the UK, and then even then they wouldn't have English citizenship because of that. Because we're residents in the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because if you just have a kid born overseas, like if I just traveled to like Japan and like my wife gave birth in Japan and then we traveled back to America, I don't think the kid would be a citizen of Japan.
No.
See, that's the difference. Like I would have to become a resident of England, and then if we ever tried to move back to America, I'd have to try and get residency or citizenship for my child, in which case I'd have to denounce my child's UK citizenship. But that sounds way too complicated just to try and give my child opportunities like that. I guess.
Yeah, just a little bit, but I mean, if that's something that you wanted to do, that's something that I guess you would work towards. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
it's a confusing process. Like I am very proud of my UK heritage, and I prefer it over my American heritage anyway.
Ouch.
I'm sorry, it's just true, but I don't know. I find the history and the culture richer, in my opinion. And that's just personal stuff. Like if I had a job offer, the moment I graduated to go work in a production studio or like a dev studio over in the UK, if I had no previous commitments or anything like that, I'd probably take the job as a chance to go, live overseas for a while. And I'd be able to do it pretty simply. I mean, I'd probably find like a flat or something over there and I'd go, live there in the UK. And it wouldn't take me any extremely long, hard processes or anything like that, mostly because I won't have to worry about immigrating or anything like that. I can just travel over on my UK passport, and everything would work out probably fine.
Probably, and to be honest, if I were in the same boat, if I were to get like a job offer to work at a production studio in Japan, I would drop everything to go there. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, the markets for both, game development and like post-production and film are not major in the UK, but I mean, there's the occasional like good development studios over there, which I totally would like to, have the opportunity to work at if I had the offer. Of course, the plan initially was, Wilmington was a great place to be for all that until,
we got screwed over by the Fire Nation.
Yeah. So that kind of cuts out the plan of staying in Wilmington for film, but I mean, I could also always look towards like the Raleigh area for any development stuff.
To be honest, if I were you, I'd just do what I'm going to do and probably move to Georgia.
Yeah, but that's like
6 hours
Georgia.
away. There's nothing wrong with Georgia.
No, it's just like there's places that I'd like to travel to before going to Georgia. And there's places I'd like to try and find jobs before I move to Georgia. There's other places I'd like to investigate. Like I wouldn't mind, maybe going out west somewhere and trying something out there.
See, I was thinking the same way, but the way when I was talking to my friend, he said it's better to be a small fish in a small pond than it is to be a small fish in a big pond. And the thing about out west is you will be a small fish in a big pond. But the thing about Georgia is because it is it's not new, but the fact that it's thriving a lot better, chances are you might pick up something a lot quicker
Yeah.
than in, LA where you need to be nothing but exceptional.
Right. I mean, there's also other places I thought of. I know Austin in Texas has a thriving film and development industry.
Yep, it does.
And I've been to Austin before, and I personally really, really like the aesthetic of Austin. It's very different than the rest of Texas. Extremely different, actually. So that's always an option that I could think of. Of course, there's always like the dream jobs if I went more into like game stuff instead of film stuff. Like I could always look to and the dream stuff. I could try something in like Maryland, like Bethesda, but that's like a stretch goal for a lot of people. That's something that's way down the line that's really, really hard to get into. Once again with the West Coast, there's Valve Softworks in Seattle, but those are huge, like major stretch goals for any developer. And then, like even locally here, there's Epic.
Oh yeah,
in Raleigh.
I thought they moved though.
I'm pretty sure Epic's still there. Let me double check. And I know that. Let me check that. Total Biscuit works out of Durham, which was a shock when I found that out.
Total Biscuit works out in Durham?
Yeah, Total Biscuit.
Seriously? He's that close?
Yeah.
I never would have thought that.
Yeah, Total Biscuit lives in North Carolina. He works in Durham.
Well, I'll be danged.
Yeah, that was a shock when I found that out.
And it is shocking to me, too.
Founded in Maryland, Epic Studios. This is Epic Games. Wait, it is Epic Games, isn't it? Yeah, the creators of Unreal Engine, Gears of War 2.
Yeah.
Headquarters in Cary, North Carolina.
That's still kind of shocking.
Yeah. What else is there? I know that, and you know what else is in North Carolina, which always surprises me, is the company that owns The Escapist. Escapist magazine and all that. Are you familiar with what's the name of it? Zero Punctuation.
Yep.
Yeah, the head group that runs that is based out in Durham as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting to know. Then again, it's like the only thing I did know about that was here was Epic, and that was it. And then I knew about there was some outfit in Georgia.
I don't know about any. I don't know much about the ones in Georgia.
I mean, that's what I knew about at least.
Actually, I've got Total Biscuit's business card right here.
You got his business card too, man?
Yeah. Where did I put it last? Shoot, stall for me while I find this thing.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Because I used to go to Major League Gaming events a lot more back when they had a local one in Raleigh. Here it is. So it was a lot easier for me to get there since it wasn't Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it's Charlotte because it's a 704 area code on his card.
Okay.
That's Charlotte, right? Charlotte is 704.
Charlotte is. I think Charlotte's 704.
704 area code. Is Charlotte? Yeah. So Total Biscuit's based out in Charlotte.
Okay.
Not Durham. I know that Escapist is based in Durham.
All right.
Because I almost got an internship with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going to take an internship in business class my senior year of high school, and I was actually in conversation with the one of the hiring people there about doing my internship with them for production. Mm-hmm. But I ended up traveling down to the coast for that summer to because I was working down in Carolina Beach, and when I finally got back. They told me that all their internship positions had been filled, and I never had the chance to drive back up there because my parents pretty much they drove me down to the beach, dropped me there with no car, and said like, "Here, bike to work every day." I was like, "Okay." So I didn't have a way to get back to Durham easily to ever do like an in-person interview. So by the time I had finally gotten back, all their internship positions were full, and I kind of just like ended up just dropping that class because I couldn't find another internship in time.
Right.
But I would have really liked to have that experience. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But you know, you take what you can get, and then plus I still have Total Biscuit's business card here in my hand.
Hey man, and he's a good contact.
He is a good contact. I met him. What was it? MLG Raleigh 2012, I think was the one he was at. I just ran into him on the show floor, and he signed my keyboard, and then I just kind of ran up to him real quick. And I said, "Hey, just so you know, I do a bunch of production stuff online, including like this interview show where we talk with personalities from all over different portions of gaming and media and all that. We'd love to have you as a guest sometime." He said, "Well, I'm going to give you my business card," and I basically just exchanged card with him real quick, and he said, like, this is my wife's card, actually, so she handles all my meeting stuff, so if you ever get to that point, feel free to contact her, and we'd set something up. Unfortunately, I never did get the chance to, but I kept his card. So that was cool. I think I have a picture with him, too, somewhere. I don't know where, but he's a great guy to chat with, and I have a profound respect for him.
I don't know. He is a good guy. Very good. Great. I wish I could meet him. Granted, I'm not that big into. I wouldn't say big into gaming. That's a lie. Seeing as how many games would we have again? Like 350. Some. It's just I've never been so much into games journalism like that. At least in the sense of what some people do. To be honest, I'm the kind of guy that tells you if a game sucks or is good and tells you what's good and what's bad. I just don't creatively write it. I'll just tell you exactly what it is. And also, I'm not the kind of person that's gonna sit there and throw a fury of what's the word? Throw a fury of curses at you either. Like which is become somewhat of a norm nowadays. I don't know how you describe it, but I mean that's kind of how it is now. I wish I could, and then also I don't have enough time to really play video games like that, because it seems like to me if I were to start doing that, I'd be more focused towards older games because I don't buy new games like that anymore. I almost bought the newest expansion of Saints Row 4, but I decided to pick Saints Row 2 over that just because I know Saints Row 4 Get Out of Hell was just, like small stuff. While Saints Row 2 is an entire...
Oh man, this picture's so old. But I finally found it. Yeah, but I'm always, buying new games myself, and I play things as they're coming out. So Total Biscuit's one guy that I do watch and very much appreciate. And I take his opinion, actually, a lot of the times when I'm buying new games.
I don't know, same here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he has a good insight on things.
Yeah.
That much I can tell you.
It was a pleasure to be able to meet him. And I totally would go back to another MLG event in Raleigh if they were to ever hold one there again. But
well, when was the last time they
held one in Raleigh was 2012. Yeah.
Really? When was this? What time frame was this?
MLG Raleigh was always mid-August, basically from like 2009 to 2012.
Okay, then that explains it because I was almost always in school.
Actually, 2010 to 2012. But I went to the 2011 circuit and the 2012 circuit. 2011 circuit was fantastic. 2012 circuit was actually really interesting because they ran it alongside with a... I went there primarily for Starcraft stuff. But the second year, they ran it alongside like the World Championship Series for Starcraft. So... they had two different StarCraft tournaments running at the same time, and that's actually where it was the first time I saw the female competitor Scarlet win WCS America and get seeded top eight for the Grand Championships in China, and declared that Scarlet, the female player from Canada, was the best StarCraft player in America. Yeah.
Oh wow. And That's actually pretty impressive, especially because don't a majority of the best StarCraft players, just generally in the world, pretty much come from South Korea?
Well, yeah, like nowadays, if you look at the players who play StarCraft, and it's really depressing the way that they've done the thing. But nine out of 10 times it's what are they called? It's Korean players. And the way that the tournaments are handled now is that you if you can get a visa to that territory, then you can compete there. So Korean players apply for visas to like the U.S. or like the UK, or like Europe, so that they can play in like the WCS America tournament, and then the finalists for WC America and WCS Europe are, Korean players. So when you look at the scene from the outside nowadays, 90% of the participants in like the main global championship series are Korean players. Even though like the winner for the American finals should have been an American player, it's a Korean player. Which is when I kind of stopped watching StarCraft, really.
Well, I mean, that's kind of probably when I would just, in general, not so much stop. It's when the team ups and the fights between opponents aren't really versatile, and it feels like it's the same thing. It's not interesting to me.
When you have a Korean player play a Korean player, it's not that their styles are gonna be.
It's not it's not the styles. It's just the background.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's like and I hate to describe it like this, but it's like watching an old martial arts film, or like watching some of the more out there martial arts films, kind of like a Bloodsport. In Bloodsport, you had a variety of different people from a variety of different backgrounds fighting each other with a variety of different fighting styles. Is that kind of thing that makes it a little bit interesting. But when it becomes so not so much samey, but it's like this guy comes from this country and this guy comes from the same country as that guy, and it's almost like, and they were potentially next door neighbors. It's like, well, this is kind of boring.
That's the thing. That's why the players that I liked the most when I watched StarCraft were actually all foreigners. And the way that this is going to sound really funny, but the way that you were classified in StarCraft was you were Korean or you were a foreigner. I'm 100% serious. This is how we.
Are you serious? No,
I'm being 100% serious. This is how players were classified in StarCraft, because you'd have the Korean players and then the foreigners. This is 100% how it worked. You didn't have the US players, you didn't have the Australian players, you didn't have the European players, you had the Koreans and the foreigners.
That's pretty messed up, man. Well, not messed up, but that's hilarious.
That's how it was classified, and
and that explains why you said the foreigner, your favorite players.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. Like, my favorite players were actually mostly European players, but there were the occasional American players, like Idra. Idra was a great player from like Idaho or something like that, but he was known for being really, really ragey and kind of known for his bad manner. But he was a fantastic player, and I emulated his style a lot in my games.
Well, see, that's the kind of stuff that makes me That's the kind of stuff that interests me, is when the players kind of have these really interesting personalities. It's like those old martial arts movies. It's when it's not only just where they come from and their background, but it's their persona, how they present themselves. It's that kind of stuff that interests me. That's why I kind of like watching Evo on occasion, because not everybody that participates in Evo acts the same. Not all the people that go to Evo dress the same. They don't play the same. It's like watching an actual sports game. But for me, when it comes with StarCraft and whatnot, and it might just be the fact that it has been shown in the mass media as almost being pretty much a very Korean game centered in it's very centered in the Korean pop culture.
That's because, was because, Korea latched onto it much faster than any other country. And, when they suddenly start having kids in Korea, like join a sports team, and one of their options is like StarCraft. Like you pick like some kind of focus, and some kids will focus on StarCraft. Like, for instance, there's a professional player by the name of Lenok, right? And I haven't looked at Lenok for a while because but he won MLG 2012 when I went there, and he was 16. He's now what, 19 years old, so he's younger than me, and he's got tournament winnings. Basically, let's see here. If I were to total all that, just a little under $200,000 in tournament winnings at the age of 19.
$200,000, man. I could buy a house with that. Well, I could buy a decent house. That's pretty.
And right now in the current season, he's number 11 in terms of points for the WCS tournament. So he's one of the top 16 players in the world right now.
Man, I envy people that can do that kind of stuff.
Like, yeah, and he's a fantastic player from what I've watched as well. So, and yeah, right now in the GSL, which is the Global Starcraft League, which is a different tournament that's like mostly Korean only, he just advanced to the round of 8, so he's in the top 8 there too. And he's been doing this since he was 15.
The things that people can do, man, it amazes me.
And like, you know, that's why I love StarCraft. You know, StarCraft has some great players. Like there was actually a really surprising one. There was a French player, and this is like the only French player that people knew of. Like literally the only person I could think of who came out of France was Stefano. And so it was like something Stefano Ilias. I'm actually gonna look up what his full name was. But he was this really, really funny guy. He was kind of, you know, the bad boy of StarCraft at the same time, mostly because he had a history of going to different countries for tournaments, then getting extremely drunk, and then getting like put in prison for the night for like public intoxication. But
I'm liking these bios. I can see these as just bios that are brought up on like a giant mega screen before each tournament. Gets drunk and gets thrown in prison for the night.
But his name was Ilias Satori, and he was a French player, and he retired after winning like 2 major tournaments. But he won WCS Europe the same year that Scarlet won America, and then he won. He won DreamHack, he won the North American Star League, he won the IGN Pro League. Holy crap, he won so much stuff.
And he just retired.
And then he just retired and went back to school. He's 21.
Well, I mean, you gotta put your priorities where they need to be. But man, that's impressive.
Yeah, no, let me double check something real quick. I'm looking at StarCraft earnings in terms of players. He is the 12th most earned StarCraft player of all time. And he is one of the only 2 non-Koreans in the top 20 of StarCraft earners in all history. The only other non-Korean player is a Swedish player by the name of Naniwa. And
how high are they on that list?
Stefano is number 12 out of on the list, and
that's
Naniwa he takes the 20th slot.
Being number 12 is actually really good, considering all things.
He was, at the time, it was really impressive because he was one of the only few StarCraft players, along with like the other top 10 at the time, who had earned over $200,000 playing StarCraft. Yeah, but and one of the few foreigners to earn over 100,000, which I only see about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 foreigners who've earned over $100,000. I'm
sorry, that foreigner bit still gets me.
I'm sorry. It's how I come to call it, you know, from my so long of watching.
No, I get it completely. Yeah. But then again, I'm just so not even, because it's like I told you, my history with StarCraft is like so minimalistic that I only played it, and I never played it with other people, except like one time I played it with other people, and that was it. I never got into it that much, but I've always known StarCraft was a big thing, and I've known it was huge in Korea, but I never knew it was so huge that when it came to the division of players, it was either you're a Korean or you're a foreigner. I just thought, that blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, no, and I guess it was, it made it easy to clarify.
Yeah, it makes it easy to clarify, but it's just like, wow, I never I never could imagine that. And I don't know, maybe and that's just the thing with me is like I'm into and that's just like getting back to how I was talking about I'm into video games, that I'm not as into video games enough to do all this, well, not so much do all this kind of stuff, but do it to the extent of other people. It's just like I'm into certain games, but I'm not so into them that I know this kind of stuff. Like I couldn't tell you the stuff when it comes to the Evo fighting tournaments. Granted, I do watch some of them when the games are remotely interesting. Like I never watched the Evo tournament fights with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because I always went. Well, yeah, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because I thought that game was garbage. But when it came to like Street Fighter 4 and I think they played King of Fighters 13 at one point. Yeah, I think they did play King of Fighters 13. But when they played King of Fighters 13, I think it was, that one I was really interested in watching because I really like King of Fighters 13. And at that time period, I could tell you some of the better players and whatnot, but that stuff is just like not so much away from me, but it's just not so huge on my radar anymore.
And that's like I didn't get into competitive esports until 2011, I think. So it's only been about 4 years at this point. Actually, I think it was about the start of 2011 was the first time I ever watched a competitive Starcraft 2 match, and I was blown away at the level of competitiveness. Because at the time I was like Bronze League player, which is like the lowest of the low. I was the player who sat there with like one hand in the chin and the other on the mouse clicking everything. And then I eventually said, I want to learn how to do this. So then I started watching tutorials from pro players and learning how to play. I started like taking my hand off my chin and onto my keyboard, and I started hitting buttons along with clicking my mouse. And then eventually I got to like rank 1 in my platinum division and was facing against masters and grandmaster level players by the time I'd stopped playing. And like it was such a weird, accomplishment to get that far in StarCraft, and that's where my drive to want to learn competitive gaming came from, I think. Because I mean, I learned the entire competitive scene there, and then when I went into when I started playing Dota, Dota is very interesting because now on top of just knowing, like, you can get a lot more into the competitive scene, in my opinion, because it's not just knowing, who a player is, but it's knowing their team and knowing how, like, what the team means and what each player brings and offers to the team. And it's like an actual sport, teams trade players to each other. And, there's actually something that happened about a month ago where like 5 or 6 high profile players in the American leagues actually traded players around. And it was a huge, like, really big news and all that, because these players were like locked to these teams that they were always expected to be with. And then two players from Evil Geniuses traded to Team Secret, and then two of the Secret players left and moved on to Cloud9. And then like everyone's like, well, this is such a huge change. Why did this player get kicked, and why did you replace this player with that player? And it was actually really, really cool, like, to see how it was treated almost like, an NFL draft or an NFL trade, how people would react to these players getting traded.
And I think that's just the cool thing, that it's, it's come with this not so much revolution, but this kind of evolvement of the whole gaming culture. Because I mean, because video games have been competitive since they even started. Because I mean, this kind of stuff was still prominent with arcades. Granted, you didn't see like them setting up huge competitions within arcades and having branching tournaments within cities that would eventually lead to some huge ultimate competition. But I mean, that kind of stuff happened in arcades where people would fight against each other, and sometimes you'd have the local champ of the arcade, and you might have the underdog that was trying to rank up and all that kind of stuff amongst the general crew in the arcade. Because I mean, that's how it was with us when we were playing like Tekken 2 and Street Fighter and Soul Calibur 2, when that was a thing. But it is surprising, and to be honest, it's interesting, and it's something that I guess a lot of people don't really consider big in a way. I mean, people in the gaming community consider it big, and especially those who are interested in that genre of games. But when you talk to the everyday individual, because I know I've talked to people about how StarCraft is considered a sport in Korea, South Korea, excuse me, and they say that that's kind of silly because all you do is sit down and click things.
I
That's
hate that
not
argument.
like getting physical and whatnot. And I'm like, well, sports aren't really, designated to just being overly physical and hitting each other in the stomach for over a ball or something.
There's a different
I mean-
level of like mental and physical dexterity that comes into playing StarCraft, and I can say this as a guy who's played in tournaments and has been watching players for a long time. I did online tournaments all the time, and I finished like third place in a couple of them, third and like second place in a couple, and I even won like a $25 like online gift card one time in another one. But like the level of when they set you up in a round in a bracket of 64 players, and you've got to make it to the winners bracket finals, so you've got to beat 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and then you're in the finals for the final thing. You got to win 6 games in a row. They don't give you, and these are sometimes played like once we got to the round of 8, they'd move it to like a best of 3 series, so you could play up to 3 games in those ones. These tournaments would take place over one night from like 8 o'clock, or from like one of them I know took place from like the check-in time was 6 o'clock, and the time was until the tournament was over. So from 6 o'clock until almost like midnight, I did nothing but play StarCraft game after StarCraft game after StarCraft game, and against different people, and each game got progressively harder. And that was like the moment I realized like this is a complete like different level of mental and physical focus than a normal sport requires. I mean, sure, a football player has to go out there and they have to be big guys and they have to be physically fit and they have to be able to hit each other as hard as they can. You play one football game a week and that lasts 2 hours?
More like 3, 4 to be honest.
Okay, and then for me, like I'm playing StarCraft games for 6 hours straight, non-stop, and basically I have to be moving at the same speed the entire time. It's a different level thing, but I have to make sure, like every single time, I'm doing everything to the best of my ability. This is why I can't play StarCraft anymore. The reason I don't play StarCraft anymore was because I stopped for about a year and went to go play Dota. I cannot move at the same speed I used to be able to when I played StarCraft, and I remember what I can do when I used to be able to play StarCraft. And I'm mad at myself that I can't do it, so I don't play StarCraft as much anymore. It's like a competitive bowler. A competitive bowler knows exactly how to bowl a 300 every single game.
Yeah.
A competitive bowler will beat the shit out of themselves if they don't get a strike every single frame.
Yeah, they will.
And
I've seen that happen
and
before.
that's why like I feel like StarCraft is in the same sense. You have to be able to do everything like 100% accurate in order to succeed. And that's what the Koreans have over other players, is that the Koreans they're put into these gaming houses where they're sitting with nothing but StarCraft players, and they just sit there and they play game after game after game after game, and they can identify everything, every little detail about a game. There was actually a great video, a great little clip I saw was one time it's like, this is the difference between what you see and the difference between what a pro player sees, right? He's like, here's what you see. It's like, oh, my opponent's expanding. I should probably just back up and turtle since they probably have an expansion going up. Or he's like, my opponent's expanding. I can probably push because they're expanding. And this guy was like, alright. And then it's like, here's what the pro player would see. He's like, alright, so his expansion is about this much % done, which means it started at this time. You can see the shadow of the Zergling sitting at the top of the ramp, which means he obviously spent a little bit longer to start the production on the expansion, meaning he's probably built up a little bit of a force. Meaning that if I were pushed now with my army size, he'd probably about have this number of units based on the time his expansion went down and this number of workers. He probably hasn't taken a gas because he is expanding and I don't see any speed on that Zergling shadow. So, I know that I just have to build like 2 more of these units which should finish up in the next like 20 seconds and then I can push and win the game.
Dude, you just...
Exactly. That's the difference. Like that, to me, I didn't even say that all right because I don't know exactly how they said it, but like, that's the difference in like the level that these players think of. And that's what I think really shows like the level of knowledge and competitiveness that goes into like a competitive gamer as opposed to like a competitive athlete or even like a casual player. There's like such a different level of experience there that I think is totally justified to be declared, athletes in their own sense.
Yeah. I mean, the way you described it, to be honest, I kind of got lost halfway through.
No, like it's very like that, because that's very specific StarCraft terminology there that I haven't even fiddled with in the past like year and a half of my life, but I still remember everything about it because there's just like so much that you have to memorize. And it's the same with Dota now too. There's so many little small details that you have to memorize about the game in order to be able to play it effectively, you know? How long does it take for this character, like what's the average move speed of this character, and how long would it take them to get from this portion of the map to that one? What's the average cooldown of this ability that this person has so that I can play around it so that I can actually take advantage of them not having that ability right now? What time, you know, did these things on the map happen in order for me to take advantage of them and beat my opponent to them so I get the bonuses and they don't? It's all calculated small details that you have to have in the back of your mind.
Right.
And that's what I think changes from competitive video games to competitive sports, but still has that level of intense knowledge of the game as well as execution. So I'm honestly just like going around the normal tangent I like to go on about how impressed I am with competitive gaming and about how adamant I am about it being a legitimate thing.
I can tell. I can tell, dude. And to be honest, I'm for you there, because I mean, video games in a sense have always been better when they are challenging and when they can be competitive. Because it's always nice to know if you're better than someone else, or if you need to improve yourself. Because how was it when back on to me with fighting games? I have two cousins on my dad's side who were the ones that kind of got me into fighting games. And the thing about it with them was I would constantly lose to them, and I would want to be able to beat them. So I would do nothing but practice and hone my skills until I could beat them. And it felt so good to beat them. And, you know, and then maybe someday I would meet someone else that was better than me. It's that competitive nature to, you know, go up to the next level and be able to beat someone that makes video games fun. So
yeah, and
so the fact that it's becoming somewhat of a sport, and it should be kind of legitimized, is a good thing, is a fun thing, because for the longest time it's always felt like a sport, but it's always felt like an unofficial sport.
And that's what I love about it. There's actually, I will recommend this to you. I don't know if you had the time to sit down and watch it, but it's something that I've probably listened to like once or twice now. There's an old Starcraft pro. Now he's a commentator nowadays, and he also is just like an internet personality and streamer and all that. His name is Day9. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before.
No, I haven't.
He's actually great. He's one of the guys that I watch so many videos on, and he basically taught me how to play Starcraft, right? But he made this video. He does this series called the Day9 Daily, where basically he'll like 5 days out of the week he streams and either goes over some competitive Starcraft replays, or just, you know, plays other games, or plays like custom games with friends or subscribers or anything like that. But for his episode 100 of his daily, and this is like 6 years ago this happened, he made a video where he didn't want to review any games, he didn't want to talk about, you know, any new strats in the Starcraft scene. He just told his entire history of his competitive gaming career from 1998 when he first bought Starcraft to 2005 when he won his first Starcraft tournament. And honestly, like, it's so interesting just to listen to him talk about how it was treated and how, like, everything he went through to get there, and like how utterly passionate he is for competitive gaming at that point. I mean, I recommend people who don't even like you know, competitive gaming or play Starcraft to just watch it as like kind of just a story to understand what people like, how it affects people, you know?
Right. I mean, I might give that a look when I got some time.
I mean, for me, it's something that you can just like put on in the background, and he's not showing anything or anything like that. It's just him sitting there in front of a webcam talking, and he talks the video is like an hour, and it's like almost 2 hours long. But I mean, it's just something to like have that little buzz in the background. I work better when I'm listening to something at the same time. I don't know why, but I can focus more when I have like a small like watching some kind of show in the background or listening to someone talk in the background. It actually helps me focus more. But
no, it's the same way with me.
But that's one of the things that I thought like is not bad to do with. The only other like big esports thing like that is there was a documentary released about Dota 2 last year called Free to Play, which follows the story of the entire first Dota 2 international, which was, I believe at the time, that the first international was for $1.6 million for first place. Or it was $1 million for first place, but the prize pool itself was $1.6 million. And it basically tells the story of, like, 3 players in particular and their struggle to get to win the international. And they're all in different teams, too, so you basically know going in that not all of them are going to win, and one of them is going to win, this tournament. But it's about their journey and, like, everything they went through to get to that point. One of them is an American player known as Fear. The other one is a player from Singapore. And the other one is a guy from the Ukraine. So you get like the American background about this guy and about how his parents feel about his gaming career. You've got the Asian Singapore guy who basically deals with, his parents telling him to focus more on school than playing video games and all that. And then you have, the Ukrainian kid, and you get to hear about how video games affected him growing up in Ukraine. And I think it was a really, really good documentary. I mean, I'm a Dota player, so of course I liked it a lot more, but it's still like a really, really fantastic story. And it's free. It's on YouTube.
That's always a good thing.
It's made by Valve, so of course it's very promotive of Dota 2, but it's also very, very descriptive in how Dota works and how these players kind of get to the position they were. So totally recommend checking that out.
I might have to check it out so I can understand Dota a little bit more.
Anyway, any more notes you want to talk about? We've been going for a long time this week.
Dude, we've almost gone...
Almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. Yeah. This is surprising. Well, I mean, you could consider this almost as a double feature, because we didn't do one last week.
That's because I had to go to the movies.
You had to go. You were on your date, and then we didn't do one on Friday. We didn't do it on Friday like we normally do because I had to do mine.
It made more sense though, considering that I had just driven back home, and I ended up spending that night with my parents anyway because I was home for the night and visiting. So it worked out better for me.
Yeah, true. But then again, you were in the area, and remember the last time I kind of told you if you're ever in the area, you should at least say something.
Oh well. To be fair, I drove up there, I went to the eye doctor and got new contact lenses, and then I went home, ate dinner, and went to bed. And then the next day I woke up, ate lunch, and then drove home. Or drove back to the beach. Drove back to Wilmington. Yeah, there we go.
You could have still at least drove by and said hello. I'm kind of lonely up here.
I'm sorry.
I might be doing well with the ladies right now, but that doesn't mean
I'm coming back, but once again, only for a short visit on the 7th. Or on the 6th, I'm driving back for a 2 o'clock appointment.
Really? This soon? It's only going to be like another 2 weeks. Is this like a 2-week thing?
Almost, really.
Yeah. Then you might not be in Wilmington when I go down there.
Wait, when are you planning to go down there?
Hold up. Let me pull up my
you said the 21st,
right
didn't you? Crap. Well, okay, so the only reason this is a 2-week right now for this one is because the main reason is that what is it called? I need to get the lens for my right eye, or for my left eye, is it adjusts. It's the right kind of lens that corrects for keratoconus, but there's one prescription higher that would fit better. And the people who sent the kit to my ophthalmologist, they basically said that, we don't know which one of these lenses will work the best, so here's a test kit. So the lens I have right now is from the test kit. And they did a couple more lens changes while I was there, and found one that magnified my vision just a little bit better and a little bit clearer. So I have to go back and get the new one in 2 weeks. Okay. And then after that, once I have those lenses, I'm pretty much done with the one location, and I'm going to be going and probably to Duke to look at surgical options after this.
All right.
Yeah. So that's my life.
Okay. It's your life, and don't you forget, it's my life. It never ends.
Yeah. All right.
If anybody can quote that song, if anybody can figure out the name of that song, I will love. Actually, wait, no. Figure out who sings that song. There we go. I think the remix version, the earliest one. I feel like it was 18s, but I might be wrong. No, that shows how old I am if I'm talking about the 18s. But besides that, no, I don't have anything else. To be honest,
Well,
I do have news. I got a new laptop though. I'm not using it currently though.
I didn't.
Yes, it's a what is this thing? An Asus. Is it pronounced Asus or
Asus.
Asus?
What brand of Asus? I have an Asus too.
Uh,
Do you remember the model number?
I've got the box right here actually. This is complicated as crap. Q551.
Q551 Asus.
I remember it was $999, and the only difference between it and the one laptop that I had originally was the fact that the graphics card has like an extra gig, and it comes with a compact disk drive.
Asus Q551. There we go.
It's supposedly a great gaming laptop, and I told the guy when I was getting it, I don't really play a lot of computer games. I just kind of needed something that was not sucky. Nothing against you, old friend.
I'm just reading it right now. 15.8, 1 terabyte hard drive, black, Intel Core i7, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Do they have a graphic processor in it? Because it doesn't say so.
That sounds about right, though.
I was just trying to see if they listed the graphics processor in it as well.
I used to remember what the graphics processor was, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I do not see anything listed here. There's a GT 840. I doubt that's it. I don't know. Well, good for you. It's a good laptop. It's an Asus. I like Asus.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So next time I'm probably gonna be using.
Oh wait,
that
if you
one.
is it the LN, the Q551 LN?
Probably.
In which case you're running with an 840, which is a 2 gigabyte graphic. That's actually a really good graphics processor. That's actually a really good laptop.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. That is what I've been told.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm very hesitant to open it up and get rolling with it.
Oh yeah. Well, mine, the one that I have, you've seen my laptop before since you've been here, but mine is mine's an Asus brand as well. And it's 17 inches as opposed to yours, which is 15 inches, and the only difference really between ours is that mine has a 3 gigabyte graphics processor, and I think I paid about $1,200 for mine.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because there was one that was for $1,200, I think, when I was over there.
So you really yours is almost as good as my my old laptop was. Well, actually, that's really weird to say. I had my laptop from last semester, and it actually died. So when I had to buy this one, I had them rip out the old RAM and put it into this one. So this one actually has about 16 gigabytes of RAM in it as well. And I think the only other difference was that the one you had an i5 processor, or was an i7? I can't remember now. I'm not going to bother to look it up again, but it's a good laptop.
No, the one I have is an i7.
So yours is actually a really, really fantastic laptop, and you should be extremely happy with yourself.
I guess I am. To be honest, because this laptop is primarily just going to be used for editing purposes.
Totally will be fine for it.
YouTube
just
exactly
the way that Asus laptops work, though, really don't try and do anything intensive without plugging it in.
Oh no, I'm not going to be doing anything crazy.
No, I mean even don't rendering and all that.
Well, no. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I tend to keep my laptop plugged in anyway.
Yeah. The way that these work is that they actually these Asus brand laptops, if they have high graphics processors like that, they don't actually utilize the full power of them unless they're plugged in, because otherwise it would just drain the battery flat out.
Oh yeah. Wow. Okay.
The graphics processor really doesn't kick in until you plug it in.
Okay. Well, that's actually good to know.
Yeah, I noticed it a lot when I first got my laptop. I tried playing Dota like unplugged just to try and like not drain my battery life, but I noticed it was extremely more like it skipped a couple frames, and I was noticing some, a little bit of issues with it. So when I started plugging it in, it ran a lot smoother. So definitely, if you're gonna do anything like intensive, I don't edit unless I'm plugged in or anything like that. Okay. So that's just a note about Asus laptops in general.
Well, thank you for that, because I will definitely, because by the end of this week, or at least by Friday, I'll probably be up and running on that thing. I'm going to be shooting not so much an unboxing. I don't know how you would describe it. I'm going to be shooting some sort of a thing where I am introducing this new laptop to myself. Nice. So that'll probably be tomorrow after I get off work at like 9 in the morning.
Okay.
But then again. But alright. Well, that's it for this nice long discussion. But then again, it's always nice to talk to people for a long time, and I learned something new, and I hope you did too, David.
I learned so much about myself and life.
And that's always a good thing to know. So, that's it for this episode of the Midnight Run. Next week we'll be talking about Area 51, spies, and shrimp tacos. Really? I don't even know, dude.
They serve shrimp tacos at Dubs now. I can definitely talk about them the next time we come around.
To be honest, I'm very wary about anything they serve at that campus now.
Oh.
The sad thing is, when I was there, I could eat almost anything there, but now that I don't eat there as often as I used to, if I eat anything there, I might get sick.
Got it. Ordering Domino's for dinner tonight.
Smart move, man. But on that note, this is Brinson Jones.
And I am David Johnson, son.
And David, signing off. Until next time, stay golden, folks.
Good night, everybody.